of staff for Governor.
So she runs number 2, second in command.
Okay, and you have since sent out, is this an open letter on Eagle Forum?
Well, actually, that's over the years, and from your business, over the years I've developed a list of email addresses, about 25,000 strong from my own. So that's sort of my own list of friends and family, only 25,000.
And you sent out an email to your people, if you will.
Yeah, that's right.
And the title is How Congress Lied to Us.
Yeah, exactly. Look, you and I both know this. You probably talk about it. Congress's popularity is about 5%, 6%. But every now and then there's these moments of clarity that really strike you. And last week I was in Washington. I try not to go there too much, but I go every now and then.
Right.
And on Wednesday, we sat with a bunch of members of Congress. They were all coming in complaining about this new Boehner-Obama budget deal.
Right.
They said, we don't know what's in it. We're trying to read it. We've got our staff scurrying. And within a couple hours, they went on the floor of the House, these same members, and all the Republicans, all the Republicans except for 29, voted to advance the budget. That's called voting for the rule, which meant there was no amendments, no chance to change it, discuss it, all that. And they all voted for that rule.
Which moved it forward.
Which moved it forward. You have to have that. If they all decided, the Republicans decided it was really a bad deal, they could have stopped it.
Right.
Because, by the way, the deal has a debt ceiling increase, unlimited money for Obama, a huge amount of spending, all this stuff that seems really dumb.
And this was the deal that Boehner and President Obama struck while Boehner was a lame duck Speaker of the House.
Right. So this is, but the kabuki on this that was really crazy to me to watch was all the Republicans except 29 voted to advance the budget, and then 1 hour and 50 minutes later, they all went to the floor of the House, and about 200 of those Republicans voted against it and put out press releases saying how bad it was and we'd never do this, it's so bad for the people. And the reason I was struck by it, besides feeling like they lied to us and we're in big trouble, was I remember, and you brought up my run for Congress, I ran for Congress in Gephardt's district, and I used to have people come up to me and they'd say, I remember Gephardt in the 70s and 80s. I never knew what he voted for because we didn't have the technology to hear. We found out a week later what they voted for. And now I can tell what people are voting for. And people have changed, but I think people don't still understand what the inside game is. And it's really, Article 1 of the Constitution, not to get into the weeds, says our guys that are in and gals that are in Congress are supposed to be in charge of a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
And they haven't been in charge of it.
So you're saying that if they really were outraged by this, they wouldn't have advanced it to begin with.
Exactly.
But now they can vote against it, it still passes, and then come home and say, this is outrageous.
Right, and it happens all the time. I guess the point is that this happens all the time, but in this case, it was supposed to be a new day. Remember, last Wednesday is the day that Paul Ryan is walking around the Capitol saying, I'm going to be the new speaker, things are going to change, and it's the same old game. And look, it wouldn't be such a big deal if we were flush. Things were great, but most of us are wondering what the future is.
But how come they were so difficult for it to work with him on any budget deal while he was current Speaker of the House?
That's a good question. Exactly. That's the point. Is why wouldn't they have done this game earlier, and why'd they do it now? And the real reason that's frustrating, I'll tell you this is again a bit explosive. Filing registration for primaries against members of the House starts about now. It starts about a week from now. It starts in certain states. Missouri, it's March 29th.
Right.
But they really want to kick the ball down the field enough that they won't get primary opponents because they don't want to be hassled by it. So it's, I guess I'm fed up with it. You can see in that email. And if you know the inside of it, you really can see what the game is, and it's really frustrating.
So you're saying Republicans didn't know what was in it, didn't read it.
Couldn't read it. They admitted we couldn't read it in time. We didn't know what was in it. We were hearing the descriptions. I mean, Paul Ryan said it's a terrible way to do a deal. A secret meeting of Obama, Boehner, McConnell, and Harry Reid putting together 2-year, multi-billion-dollar, hundreds of billions of dollars a deal. No one read it. No one knew what was in it. They all hated how it was done, and they voted to advance it. And then they went on the floor and said, I'm outraged. This is outrage.
Wasn't there a back deal that said, look, Boehner, you just get this done. You kick this down the can. We get this off of our plate so we can go in some other direction.
And not have to worry about being challenged for re-election. Sure, that's the point. That's what's so cynical about it. By next year, when the conservatives, by the way, and my people, I guess, jump up and start protesting, it'll be too late for you to run for Congress or you to run for Congress or anyone to run for Congress. And again, we're in a disastrous trend line. I don't want to sound like Donald Trump here, but if we don't
Yes, you do.
do some things, well, I don't mind. My hair is a little bit better, but if I think we want to change the direction, and even I'm a Republican, so I want my party to do better. This was a disaster.
I'm surprised that you are actually coming here.
Yeah, you're calling out your own party.
people. Yeah.
I just think we're at a moment. I think you see it with Americans. There are people who are like, this is crazy. What really makes me mad is I know the inside game, and I'm looking at it saying, you guys, it's one thing to play the game and pretend you're for fiscal conservatism, do nothing.
Right.
It's another thing to go out there and play this. It was 3:33 in the afternoon and then 5:21 in the afternoon. First
Right.
they come out and they say, oh, we've got to pass this budget quietly, and then they come out an hour and a half later and say, outrage, it's an outrage. It's just it's a disaster.
Ed Martin, while we have you, a minute to go. Donald Trump's numbers in Iowa are imploding. What's the backstory there?
Well, there's a couple things we mentioned on the phone yesterday. Everybody thinks everybody's numbers are some sort of magic out in the air. In Iowa, the Club for Growth ran about $2 million of negative ads. Now, as a guy who's run for office, negative ads, Chris Koster ran about $500,000 of negative ads on me.
Right.
They work. So Trump's numbers he's paying a price for negative ads. Now, you'll notice just this morning, Trump announced he's going up on TV and radio with ads, trying to combat that. So we're into this is why Jeb Bush is still a favorite. We're into the period of time where if you have the money to pay for ads, you can make anybody look like a fool, or you can make yourself look like a genius. And that's what we're headed for in the next about 7 to 10 weeks.
So
It'll be
if you
wild.
live in Iowa and
Oh,
New
man.
Hampshire, get
Yeah,
ready.
Exactly. It's going to be over and over again.
Ed Martin, you're always welcome here. Thanks for coming in. If somebody wants to get on your email list, how do they get on your email
Just
list?
email me at ed@eagleforum.org. Sorry,
Oh,
Charlie.
Ed for what? Ed for
no,
what?
ed@eagleforum.org.
Ed@eagleforum.org.
Yeah.
Thanks, my friend. 625 here at Big 550 KT.